Hi everybody, it's Lori Bradley and I'm here in St. Louis, Missouri, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and we are here for stamping today. I apologize a little bit about my appearance. My husband promised he would get in the swimming pool with me when he was done working today, so I haven't showered yet and I didn't want to melt my makeup when I went outside because it is so hot. Anyway, I'm going to show you today the Perfectly Pears suite. Actually, I think it's called Painterly Pears for the suite, but the stamp set and the bundle is called Perfectly Pears. And at first I thought, oh, I don't really want this because it's not really my style, but I have learned to branch out and I am going to show it to you today. I actually have 3 cards for you today. And then I also be sure to check out my Fun Fold for this week on YouTube on Friday, Fun Fold Friday, because my other 4th card is also from the Pears suite. So let's get going. I have lots of fun things to show you. But first, let me tell you, I promised last week that I would give a Fun Fold class for someone. I would draw for a Fun Fold class. And so this afternoon, let me see, here are my papers. I had all of the papers that I was going to just put in a little bowl and I was going to draw out. So I have Monica K, Lisa B, Susan G, Pam P, and Robin T. And I decided these ladies went to all the trouble to make the cards that to go along with me. And so I decided all 5 of you will be getting a Fun Fold class, and that'll be in August. And I will send you the packet in the mail. So Pam, Monica, Lisa, Robin, and Susan, look forward to your packet coming in the middle of August. So that was just a fun thing. I'd like to do it again. And so we will do another craft along sometime soon. So before I make cards today, I want to show you the designer series paper that goes with the Pears suite. This one is so pretty, and you can easily make 6 card fronts lickety split, like super easy. And the back is this fun petal pink and strawberry. Ooh, is it strawberry slush? I'm not sure. It might be Calypso Coral. I don't want to tell lies. It doesn't actually say what the secondary color is. So that's petal pink is the main color there. I would almost say that's Calypso Coral. Then we have the pears on the branches with the pretty Mossy Meadow background. We have this one, which actually most people would say I wouldn't like this, but I'm a little surprised. I do actually like it. It's the Darling Duckling background, and then the back is just little blooms. This page, the pears, the flowers, the leaves, and the small pears, can actually be die cut. And so you can just die cut those right out with the dies and not have to stamp anything. Then some Mossy Meadow leaves. This is my favorite piece right here, the Secret Sea with the pears. Pears aren't even my favorite fruit, but I do like this paper with the Darling Duckling background and then the pretty petal pink background with the pears and the Secret Sea graphic design on the back. All right, let's make some cards. My first card is going to be a note card, and it's super simple. And so the first thing, and actually it is literally just stamps, ink, and paper. You've probably seen that. And I always struggle. I don't ever make just stamps, ink, paper cards. So I decided to today, the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to up the game just a little bit. I have my note card, which is easy peasy. All I have to do is fold it and it's ready to go. And then I have my white panel, which is where I'm going to stamp. But before I stamp, I want to add a little bit of interest to it. I'm going to use my scoring blade. So I've got my cutting blade. I'm going to push all the way to the bottom because we're not interested in that right now. And I'm going to score all the way around at 1/4 of an inch and 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to scoot those over. You can do this with your paper trimmer, or you could do this with the scoring tool, the scoreboard, whatever you have that scores. But I'm going to do that on each side at 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch. And hopefully you can see this. And that'll give me a little bit of interest right around the outside. If you'd like to do that after you stamp, you can do that as well. But I just want to make sure I have the right right spacing for my pears. Okay, so here we have 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to stamp my pear. I've used almost all of the words and the stamps from the stamp set today, so I'm kind of excited about that. All right, but I'm going to start, actually, let's start with the leaves, so that way I know where to place those. I'm just going to start toward the top, but I want to keep it within my space so that it's inside those lines. I'm going to angle it just a little bit. So we have our leaves. Then I'm going to stamp the actual pear. And the pear fits. You can see where the bottom of the stem goes to. And then you can see the little space where the stem line goes through. So just line that up. I wanted to make sure that my pear had room first. All right, it's a slight bit off, but I think it'll be okay. And then let's go ahead and put my words on here so I know where to put my words. And I'm gonna do thank you for this one, just a quick thank you note. I just wanna make sure everything fits before I get crazy. Put that, let's go right about there. All right, so we have our thank you. Now, we need to color our pear. You could do it with markers, you could do it with blends. We're going to use the stamp, and I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna stamp that. Let me get this black ink pad right out of our way. That'd be a mess. All right, so I'm gonna use the Mossy Meadow for the leaves. The leaves actually have and there's the outline. I'm gonna use the filler, I'm not sure what that's called, the background part of it. And it's kind of distinctive, so it's not all the same color, which is great. So don't be alarmed when your leaves are not all the same. You don't want them to be all the same. We're gonna color that. And that'll give us shading without having to work too hard. All right, so there's our leaves. Now our pear, I'm going to stamp in Darling Duckling. I'm gonna use my Darling Duckling first, okay? I'm gonna ink it up with the Darling Duckling, but then I don't want it to just be yellow, because if you've ever seen a pear that's just yellow, usually they have some other color mixed in on their skin. So I'm gonna take the old olive ink that I have here, and I'm gonna get my sponge dauber, and I'm just going to dauber around the edges. There's no right or wrong. There's not too much. There's not too little. We're just gonna make it a little bit green. Can't see it super well, but you'll be able to see it when we stamp it. Okay, I'm gonna flip that over and then stamp it right on in the outline. Make sure we press that on there. Just like that. And our pear has some lines in it, like the little things. That's the way it's supposed to be. And then all we have to do is just glue it on to our note card. Onto the front. Ta-da. And then we can leave it just like that, but let's go ahead and use some of the gems from the suite, the low profile sparkle dots, which are really pretty, the Secret Sea, the Mossy Meadow, and the Darling Duckling. Let's put a couple of those on there just to make it pretty. If you so chose to leave it like that, that keeps it, the stamp inks and paper. It's entirely up to you. I just like to add a little bit more to it. Let's use the green ones. Those just around our pear. These little boogers are kind of difficult. All right, so there is number one. Super simple, stamps, ink paper, no designer series paper to cut, super easy. And then we will move on to card number two. It's a little bit more difficult, a little bit stamped up. I used some of the dies, and this is just going to be a hello card. And I used the designer series paper, Darling Duckling, and Mossy Meadow. I did use a stylish shaped circle. For my other card, I actually broke the mold. It's not just the stylish shapes. I used the Spotlight on Nature dies. A friend of mine had borrowed those, and they were still on my desk, so I thought I will use those. Everybody will be so surprised. I die cut the leaf stem out of Mossy Meadow. I've got the little hashtag, it looks like hash marks, which are super fun. I did put adhesive sheet on the back of that, so I can just peel that off and stick that on, because that would be entirely too crazy to put glue on. And then I have the die cut. I went ahead and die cut two of the smaller pears from the piece of designer series paper that I told you was the patterns that you could cut with the dies. So, all right, so my Mossy Meadow card base, I did a 4 1/4 by 11. It's kind of a little bit different than usual. I wanted it to be tall. And I have my Darling Duckling panel, and that's where I cut my stylish shaped circle, because that gives us extra space, and we won't even notice. So I'm gonna glue that on. That way we don't have to waste paper. I love when we can just use it and do it without wasting. Okay, now I'm gonna use not the pear side, I'm actually going to use just the green pattern side, because I don't want it to be super busy. We're gonna let the little decorations on the front add the interest, not the paper. So we're gonna put that on. I did a tight little border. The yellow is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and the pattern paper is 4 by 5 1/4. Just so I didn't have a big blaring border. I just wanted a tiny one. All right, this particular die, the sentiment die, also comes from the bundle, and I'm going to do hello on this one. I'm going to stamp that in Mossy Meadow. Has a little bit of a raised edge, so I hope, or the middle is raised, the edge is lower. I'm going to hope I can get that on there. It's photopolymer, so I think we got it. All right, whew. All right, I can stop holding my breath now. All right, now, my first order of business, I'm going to put, besides that, I'm going to put my little hashtag piece onto the daffodils, or the duckling, Darling Duckling. Let me get my trash here, I'm making a mess. Put that onto the Darling Duckling circle. And there's no right or wrong. I'm just gonna put it on there. My edge is not completely down. That's okay. Everything else is gonna hold it. It's just that edge doesn't have it. And then I'm going to put on the leaves, just like this. This one I did not put adhesive sheet on. I'm just going to put some liquid glue. And I'm gonna put it on the side that's a little more solid of my leaf. You could easily do adhesive sheet for this. I just decided not to. Probably hindsight is 20/20, and I should have, but anyway, it is what it is, right? All right, and then we're just going to lay that on. Again, no right or wrong, it's just going to be on there. And then I just have to put on my hello. And so I need some skinny dimensionals. You can use mini dimensionals, or I'm going to just take the edges of my regular size dimensionals, cut those, and put one at each end. All right, that's also a way to keep from wasting. You can use those outside edges of your dimensionals. Okay, there's my hello. Now, I want to put my pears just so they overlap it just a little bit. So that left side, I'm going to put some adhesive on so it can stick to my hello piece. And then I will put dimensionals on the right side. I love how simple it is when you have designer series paper that you can just die cut and you don't have to stamp and mess with it. All right, and it makes it all pretty. I did do that flat onto that sentiment piece so that it wasn't raised and crooked. Okay, now the other thing that I'm going to do is take the ribbon. The ribbon that matches the suite is Mossy Meadow and gold, and it is so pretty. It could easily be used for a Christmas ribbon. Obviously we're not making a Christmas card right now, and I'm going to just tape it on the back of our piece. Adds a little bit of shine, makes it stand out on that green paper. And then I'll tape it. I watch ladies in class sometimes, and sometimes people use adhesive, sometimes they use liquid glue. I really find that it's easiest for me just to put some tape on the back, and that way I know it's held. And then it's gonna dimensional that piece. It always makes it so easy and quick when you can have your pieces ready to go before you do it. All right, so then we'll put our hello right about there, I guess. Let me trim this piece just a smidge. This one, let me just get that rough edge off. I brought the wrong scissors to the table. All right, let's bling this one up. This one, I want it to have a little bit more contrast than the green. So let's go with our yellow, the Darling Duckling. And if I put these out on the green, then they will show up a little better. And then maybe, these are two sizes, by the way. There's a small and a large. Let's go there. All right, there is our hello. But I think they're very pretty. You can see they have a sparkle to them. All right, so we've got the ribbon that goes with the suite. We have the gems. We have the dies, the stamp set, and the designer series paper. All right, so for this one, I switched it up. I'm using the Spotlight on Nature die, and it's a little bit of a fun fold. It's not a full fun fold. I just cut a strip off the side so we could showcase two of the pieces or two back and front of this paper because it's all so pretty. I wanted to show as much as I could. So this one we're gonna use the blue. I've got a whole bunch of flowers die cut. I'm gonna put those right here on my paper. Get these off here. They don't have adhesive sheet. All right, so I have my Spotlight on Nature dies. I have several of the flowers die cut from the Perfectly Pears. Now, I'm going to show you what I did. I have a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut off 1 1/4 inches from one of the sides. It doesn't matter which side, just 1.5 inches or 1 1/4 inches. That piece will be extra. You can do whatever you want with that, but I'm going to set that aside. We don't need that. And then I have cut a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of cardstock. We don't need that. or we don't want it to be that way. Let me make sure. I don't want to tell all lies. All right, at 2 3/4, I'm going to cut it. I'm just going to cut it 2 3/4 from the left side. Then that gives you an option of doing 2 things. Okay. I'll show you. When we have our card, the front is going to be the short side, like this. And this piece is going to go on the front. Now, you have one of 2 options. We can put the flower here, the pear and the flower, and it carries over. Or if you want, and you really want to have some contrast, you can flip it over and use the back side. For this one, I flipped it over. So for the one I'm making now, I think I might leave it the same so that our picture carries across. Like that flower, those stems, they all just flow right across. So I think that's what I'm gonna do for this one. So I'm gonna start at the back, and I'm going to put, you can do it either way. There's no right or wrong. And I always love that, when there's no right or wrong, and it just flows. Make sure when you glue it onto your white panel, this is just a 4 by 5 1/4 white panel, make sure that you put it all the way to the right so that it goes along the white edge. And you still have plenty of room to write your sentiment or your sayings inside, whatever you want to say to your friend. All right, I'm gonna put that on the inside. I've got it just like that. Then we'll go ahead and we'll glue our piece on the front. So that's the exact same dimensions that I would have cut if I was doing a panel on the front, a 4 by 5 1/4 panel. When I cut that designer series paper, it was actually that size. But just, you know, to make it a little fancier, we cut it, and we are making it look a little bit cooler, right? Okay, so now you can see the pattern carries over. There's the same navy secret sea, not gap, it's not a gap, it's the edge, goes all the way around, and this piece. So it looks like it's all one. Okay, now we get to glue. And for this one, I actually cut old olive, an old olive branch with stem, because the dark green was too dark. It was absolutely too dark. But before I do that, I want to go ahead and stamp my words. And this one is, a good friend is a gift. I think that'd be a great birthday, wouldn't it? Great birthday sentiment. All right. I'm gonna stamp that right at kind of toward the top, maybe a little bit. I rocked a little bit, so I have to be super careful. Just gonna stamp that like that. Make sure you go straight down, straight up, because you want to make sure you don't get, if you rock like I just did and get the ink on there, that's bad news. All right, so now let's build our sentiment piece. I'm gonna put the leaves on there, and they're gonna kind of go off the side a little bit, kind of like that. So I'm just gonna put the glue on the leaves in the middle, and we'll hope for the best, I guess. But we can actually put a teeny tiny dimensional piece on one of these, which I think I will do. I'm gonna cut, you can see that the mini dimensionals are super small. I'm gonna cut one of those in half. Like that's how big I want my dimensional to be. So it doesn't show up under that leaf. I'm gonna put it right there, just so that gives us a little bit more support, because it's going to be on dimensionals up there too. Okay, so there's our leaves. This piece will be okay. It's gonna go down by itself. This one will get dimensionaled on, and that will hold it onto our card front there. Okay, except, you know what I did? I took the back off of it, and I don't want it to stick to my paper. So I'm gonna grab a dimensional bag because goodness knows everybody has a million dimensional bags laying around, right? I'm just gonna lay that right on top of it to cover it so I can keep working. Now, let's put some flowers on here. I think these are really pretty. They're just little flowers. You can punch out the centers. You can leave them as is. I'm gonna punch them out. On my first one, I did more yellow ones, so I'm going to use more petal pink ones for this one. The petal pink is the color in the paper. Now, again, hindsight is 20/20. I probably should have used adhesive sheet for this, but little bitty dots of glue will be more than enough to hold this. Pick it up with my take your pick tool to make it easier on me. I'm just gonna put that maybe right in there. Okay, let's do some yellow. And then we'll just add those around. You can add as many or as few as you want, or you could just leave the branch if you wanted to. I'm gonna put this one, lift this up so I can see. Sometimes when I do things where you can see, it's not easy for me to see. Okay, and then I'll do another one that is higher. All right, this is tedious, a little bit. And quiet, makes me nervous when there's a whole bunch of quiet. With my kids, that always meant somebody was gonna be in trouble. All right, now I've got one more yellow I think I want to put on here, and I'm going to make it, I'm going to stand it up. So I'm going to use the other half of the dimensional that I just cut. Try to use my take your pick tool to get that out of there, which is not working. We're going to put that right on the back. Okay, might be a little big, we'll see. And I'm going to put that right in the middle so it just stands up a little bit. All right, now before I get too many dimensionals and too much sticky, let's go ahead and put this on our card front. Oh, we can't put it on our card front yet because, see, I almost forgot. Forgot what the other thing was we're going to do. Man, it's quiet. I got really quiet, didn't I? All right, we are going to take the gold side of the ribbon. The other one, I put the green side out, but for this one, I'm going to wrap the gold ribbon around and I'm going to tape it. I'm going to pull it taut, put a tiny piece of tape. So we'll still be able to see it on the inside. I'll show you. Tiny little piece like that, pull it tight, and then we'll put another tiny little piece to hold it all, and then I'll show you the inside. Like I said, you'll be able to see it, but it'll just be a pretty stretch of ribbon. So it's just gonna go around like that. So it'll be pretty, it won't be bulky, it'll just be right there in the center of our, now, we're going to attach this so that this piece, this circle goes off the edge of the front, okay? Now, make sure, we're gonna put dimensionals. We wanna make sure that our dimensionals are on this left side so that they're not sticking up on this side, or there aren't dimensionals on this side because it would close the whole front and nobody wants that, right? So let's put our dimensionals on, double check myself so that I've got the right thing. Actually, I think I could have put a regular mini dimensional on that leaf. It's not quite as small as what I thought. So I'm gonna put one here just to make sure that top side is supported. I know you can probably never have too many dimensionals, but at the same time, I don't want it to look like, you know, a complete covered back. All right, now, you can see where my dimensional line is right here. We're going to put that right along the And then since that has dimensionals under it as well, it will actually stay. And then that opens. So there we go. Let's bling this one up. And since this is the Secret Sea background, I'm going to use the Secret Sea. Aren't those pretty? I think those are beautiful. All right, let's put a couple, let's see, put a couple on here maybe. Put one up here. Doesn't show up as much as I wanted it to, but let's go with a small one. I do love the sparkle that the gems and the ribbon give. All right, so there is card number 3. So we have our sort of fun fold with a little bit of an edge. We have our top fold, the hot dog shape instead of the hamburger shape, with the dies and the die cut from the designer series paper. And then we have our note card, which was simply stamps, ink, and paper with a little bit of paper. It's not embossed, it is score lines, it's scored. So there you have it. There's 3 amazing cards with the Painterly Pears suite. And like I said, be sure to watch my YouTube channel on Friday for Fun Fold Friday with another card, an offset gatefold card using this suite as well. If you are one of those 5 people, Monica, Pam, Lisa, Robin, or Susan, just a reminder that you want a free Fun Fold class, and I will send that to you in August. Thanks for watching today. I will see you next week with next week's Lunch with Lori. Have a great rest of your week.